You're listening to Tomcat Radio, conversations with creatives, pioneers, and those that get shit done. I'm your host, Tomcat, founder of the design and media studio, Tomcat Atelier. For most of my life, I found myself at the right place at the right time, conversating with individuals that have inspired me to be a better businesswoman, artist, and a better human in general. So if those are the conversations you're looking for, you've come to the right place. Welcome back, cool cats, to another episode of Tomcat Radio. I don't want to keep saying I'm excited. I'm going to paste a paper to my wall with 20 other different words that I can use instead of the word excited. But I'm excited. Sue me. I'm excited about today's podcast episode because this individual is actually one of the first people I met when I moved to LA over 2 years ago. And I am grateful to call him a friend. I also see him as a mentor. And I also see him as my LA mom, as you'll hear in this conversation, that Jacob Matthew and I have. Jacob is an independent film producer from Philly that now resides in the art district of Los Angeles. His most notable work includes the Emmy-nominated Netflix original documentary, The Minimalists, Less Is Now, and the cult comedy sketch series, Gillian Keeves with Shane Gillis. Jacob is the executive producer of Booklight Film Co., as well as the founding member of Booklight Media, an independent, equity-based distribution company. Now, we'll get all into what exactly is distribution, what does it mean to be an independent film producer, and we also talk about what is the importance of IP and why should we as creatives and in general know what IP is and to not let go. Don't let it go. I mean, unless it doesn't really mean that much to you and you get a huge ass check, then hey, that's your call. But we'll get all into that. And with this conversation, you'll have the answers in the future for yourself, your friends, or perhaps your favorite creative to let them know so they can protect what they've created. And we really talk about the business side of art, financing, and the distribution of it. So, my friends, sit back, relax. If you're on your hot girl walk or your hot boy walk, plug in those headphones and let's listen in to the conversation I'm having with Jacob Matthew. So we are live. Thank you so much for joining me today on Tomcat Radio. Jacob, thanks for being on.
Yeah, of course. I'm so glad to be here.
I want you to go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, tell us where you're living right now, and tell us what you do.
Sure. Well, I love also getting to this with you. Our relationship, I think, is so cool in that it really started as homies before it evolved into like a professional, like, art collaboration, like, work relation kind of in that way and perspective. And so it's fun to get to chat about this with you. But my name is Jacob Matthew. Oh man, I grew up outside Chicago, but I came up in film in Philly for a long time, and now I've been in LA for like 4 years. I live in the Arts District, downtown LA. The cat used to live in and then abandoned us, but it's fine. It's
No,
fine.
I'm back. I'm 50% back.
That's right. You got a studio here now. That's right.
Yeah,
You're back. I'm not talking shit. I don't want to talk shit. Okay. So
you're my LA mom, so honestly,
I am. That is true.
we also just have to interrupt because I do
Yep.
have to publicly let everybody know, which sounds like such a funny ass sentence, but
Yep.
I do describe you. I hope you're never insulted, but like truly, I do feel
I'm
like
honored. I'm honored.
Good.
I'm honored.
Okay, continue. All right, that's I'm done. I'm done interrupting
No,
you.
yeah. So I've been in LA for about 4 years now, but been working in the film industry for 9 years now. And I'm a film producer. So I'm an independent film producer. Have made a bunch of projects now. Some with like I made a project with Netflix before, but I most of my work, and I even prioritize it, is mostly independent work. I intentionally fight really hard to keep our work independent. And Yeah, independent filmmaking. And we have more recently started a distribution company that helps to it's called Booklight Media, that helps people to own their work independently. And we work with all kinds of different filmmakers and creators to do that. So that's what I do now.
And what was the inspiration to, first off, for people that don't really understand what the term independent means when it comes to the
Sure.
film industry, like what does that mean?
Oh, that's a great question. And nowadays, a very simple one. Um, well, the film industry, as far as the mainstream major distribution film industry is concerned, is only 100 years old. It's a very, very young industry, which is unique about film. And it obviously started back in the day with film studios, and even just like in the silent movie era, right? It started with film studios who really are essentially in all sense a venture capital investment company that only invests in film IP. That's basically they're just investing in owning franchises of films, and then they monetize them through theatrical distribution, through sales, merchandising, anything that you could possibly do. So before that era, it even actually everything was combined back in like the original like 1920s part of the film industry. But I digress. I only say all that history to say, in throughout film though, many films throughout all of time that have been even some very successful films come from people who independently, who are not in the film industry or aren't from a studio, aren't financed by that, will invest and put their own money into a film and hope that it's good enough and whatever that they could sell it to a major distributor or studio in the future. But most studio films that way are made intentionally and attached with major distribution when they start because a studio financed it.
Uh-huh.
They made it the second that they paid for it. The entire spectrum of how this thing was going to be put out into the world was already laid down as a business model. For me, like when we made like our project, one of our comedy projects, Gillian Keeves, like as an independent filmmaker, we put our own money into making this thing with no connection or potential back end connection to it at the beginning, and we had to kind of negotiate all that, figure it out, build it ourselves, and do that without the backing and financing of a studio. And I'm not unique in that way. That's what independent filmmakers are doing. They're working with independent non-studio capital, to whether that's personally financed or through a relationship you have with an independent financier, to make films and then hopefully be able to sell that film either to a studio distributor or in our case on our own, in such a way that we would pay back our financier plus interest and then profits after that, and do all that independently without counting on a studio or a major distributor. That's what we did.
And you didn't go to school for this, correct?
No, 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 no.
You learned this all on your own. I mean, honestly, when you say
Yeah.
the word financing, I immediately my body just cringes. And so
Uh,
not even learn like this term of financing movies in
yeah,
school. I know that it's a big ass answer, but how the hell did you even start like rolling up your sleeves and learning
sure.
that? Like,
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm happy to even chat a bit about when like I've been doing it for 9 years now, and I think a lot of this more like true professional level kind of modern industry play that we've been doing recently. I think that's been for the last 3 years of my life. I think I've started to play more in that more like mainstream space,
mhm.
with our projects kind of getting bigger and some things happening. But I started when I was 23. I used to play music for a long time, and then one day I was like, you know what? As much as I promise you, to this day, my real dream is to be a rock star, and it's just not going to happen for me. It's just not coming. It's just
We
not
don't
in.
know that. I mean,
No, it's not. I promise you, it's not. It's not happening for me. That's okay. I've already buried this. I've mourned this. It's fine. I'm over it. And
yeah.
so and so,
And if
I
anyone wants to come to our show this weekend, that's totally no.
that's right. That's right. Well, my secret DJ sets that Cat and I put on together. That's right. That's right. Um, no. So honestly, I think that's actually a big part of my kind of story as to how I got into film, though, was there was a point in time in my early 20s where I was getting paid to do music and stuff, but then was like, hey, I really care about like being really great at something. I don't just want to make money for this. I want to see if I can evolve into a truly, truly great contributor to an art field in my life. And that's one thing I love about sports is I think sports is a more binary than art. And sports is one of these places where like people talk about the GOAT and these kinds of things and run after it. And there's like data and stats to chase. In art,
Mhm.
I don't think it exists in that same way. We
Yeah.
have, I think, great artists who come up and essentially are remembered in history because they evolved either art theory, I mean, so many different kinds of things. This is industry. They evolved the industry. And George Lucas didn't just make Star Wars. He also built ILM, one of the greatest post production VFX houses of all time, and did that while he was making Star Wars. Like Christopher Nolan has evolved cinematography beyond what we're even talking about. And
Yeah.
I feel like in the film industry, especially, but in music too, I really appreciate this idea of mastery and being able to be really, really great at something. And early on, I kind of thought about myself that I don't think music was the place that I was going to hit that. I had that actually even ability inside of me to hit that ceiling. But
Yeah.
with filmmaking, for whatever reason, I kind of felt like I did, and I love films. I've always loved them since I was a kid, and I felt like if I was going to try and take one of the art professions really seriously, that's the one I wanted to really focus on. But
Yeah.
I quit music, I started bartending,
Mhm.
and I started my first production company with a friend while I was bartending in Philadelphia. And for about 4 years, we just tried to get commercials, tried to get paid to do
Yeah.
anything that wasn't weddings. We didn't want to shoot weddings, but we did everything else that we could possibly do because we were like, we're not going to become a wedding production company. We're gonna make commercials and we're gonna like whatever. And we were writing screenplays and all this. And this is my like early Jacob. I know nothing, just
Yeah.
complete optimism living in
Yeah.
Philadelphia in a very sad and poor situation.
Yeah.
And my life was very different back then. And so so that was that. And to answer the question, how did I start to even get connected to some of the theory and business theory I have today? The answer is 9 years of just how do we get clients? Okay,
Yeah.
learn how to get clients, learn how to get revenue, learn how to do that. After the while, we're like, well, we don't want to just work for clients all the time. We want to be in charge of the full project and have enough capital to be able to do what we want to. What does that look like? And so in the film industry space, that felt like owning IP and trying to make our stuff independently. And we did a Netflix documentary that taught me a lot about this actually. If you know, I love talking about the business side of film. If anybody else is interested, I love talking about it.
No,
But
totally. And I feel like that's honestly part of what I want to bring out of this podcast is
yeah,
the business side of art because that's how you fuel more
yeah.
art and that's how you empower more art and that's
When
which
I'm a
is
film producer, right? Like I respect my side of how I sit on the equation of the art industry, and
yeah,
I'm not talent. I'm not talent. I don't view myself as talent. I view myself as a film producer and a filmmaker. And then there are artists. A lot of people hate the word talent. I like to
I was
almost in it.
really gonna ask you to comment on the word talent. Yeah. Go
Well,
go on.
talent is a word used in the film industry, and it's slightly controversial in the fact that I think some people, even just in maybe our more modern, like even just trying to be kind to each other. I think more than the film industry used to be kind of atmosphere and just the way that I think our society is moving a little bit more.
Right.
There's lots of
Yeah.
brutality, certainly, but sometimes actors don't like to be referred to as talent. They don't want to be felt as other in that way. But as a
Mhm.
producer, whether or not if someone doesn't want me to call them talent, I won't call them that. It's fine. But I like the idea and appreciate the full life investment that professional artists give to their work and that their entire life becomes about their creative process unendingly at all times and they're doing so at a very high level. And that's a very unique life to have to live. Like I've gotten to be friends with a lot of great stand-up comics, in especially working in the comedy scene in Philly. And like I really respect the commitment to lifestyle that they have as stand-up comics in that space, and their life is very unique and very specific to that grind, as are musicians, as are actors. Artists have these, and as a film producer, I have I have a deep connection to my work and my life and my art and my passions, but I'm taking it from a filmmaker and producer perspective. So my whole life is very built around my career too,
Mhm.
intentionally so. But um, but I just respect the concept of talent. So I digress. I don't know how we got on that, but there's my
Totally.
answer to your talent
No,
question.
no, it was the perfect answer. And to go back to the beginning of young
Yeah,
Jacob with a friend bartending, you're freaking doing the damn thing.
I'm
Yep.
sure some people listening might be like, well, how the hell did you go and get clients? Like what was that process like? And was
Great
that,
question.
were you nervous? Like what was your emotion? And then how did you go and do it? Because do you feel like I know I'm asking you two questions in one.
No,
Do you
sure.
feel like that part was more nerve-wracking than like going to clients now because it was new? And then what was that
Hmm.
process like?
Okay. I hear your two questions. Let me answer them in order.
Okay.
Because the second thing you said has to do a lot with fear and imposter syndrome, and I think that's a cool idea that I'd love to
Mm,
tackle because I have lots of
yes.
thoughts on that. But
Mhm.
first, the how we did it, just what did we do to try and go grow when we started? So I was a producer. I'm a producer. So when
Mhm.
I entered film, I really wanted to get into filmmaking, and I knew that from my experience in all the music stuff I had done, I kind of really knew how to build something and build a brand and organize people and be like I was always the band leader in anything that I was doing on the music side because
Yeah.
I was like, we're gonna get here on time. This is how it's gonna work. We're all gonna be disciplined about it, and we're all gonna care about this. And getting people to care about something the way that I cared about something. Honestly, that might
Gemini.
be what.
A to the
Yeah,
Gemini.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's right. Exactly.
Shout
Gemini sounds
out.
good.
Shout out.
That's right. That's right. And and so, what my strategy was as a freelance film producer, really, and this is what lots of film producers do. I also just went and called people. There's a great company I'd love to shout out from Philadelphia called Neighborhood Film Company. That's
Mhm.
still a great film company to this day. They're one of the other just amazing film companies in Philadelphia.
Mhm.
And I remember I just emailed this producer. His name is John Applebaum.
Mhm.
And I emailed John Applebaum and I was like, "Hey man, can I buy you coffee?" And I was like, I want to be a PA, whatever." But I was like, and I bought him coffee, and he was like, "Sure." And I bought him coffee, and I was like, "I want to build what you guys are building and build
Yeah.
a great production company.
Mhm.
What the fuck? How would you do this?" And
Yeah.
just we talked about it, and and this is something to this day I love talking about because this ability to do what I just said has
Mhm.
never changed, and actually I think is the foundation of growing, which
Yeah.
is learning to ask for a peer respect relationship with a mentor. And
Mhm.
that's very, very important. It's not
Mhm.
just meeting somebody better than you and being like, "Oh my God, I'm in on you." That's not what it is. It's going, "Hey, I understand who you are,
Mhm.
and you know that I respect who you are. Here's what I'm trying to do, and I'm asking that you take me seriously, but respect the spectrum of which I sit below you."
Yes.
That's
Yes.
fine. And I think even to this day now, like when I'm talking with much like humongous financing deals and much larger things too, that are, bigger than I've ever touched up until this point in my life. Um, I've learned to do that with these producers and these financiers too. Here's what we do. Here's what I'm awesome at. And also, here's what I know. This is my limited perspective because of my come up. Here's exactly how I got to today.
Mm.
Most of the pitches that I give now, I'm not even really selling anybody anything. I'm just going, here's who I am in my perspective and what we figured out on our journey.
Mhm.
What do you think, and how could we work together? That is the conversation I'm having with every single person that I'm meeting with now. I'm not going,
Right.
"Hey, here's my idea. Would you please sell it to me?" I'm going, "You're awesome. I understand who you are and how much money you have
Mhm.
and what your reach and access is. Here's this
Mhm.
cool thing that we figured out.
Let's work
Let's
together.
talk about this together." And I also
Totally.
understand that for large closing financing too, it's not the same as a client relationship. It's similar to a client relationship. I learned a lot. I do decks for all this. I'm building decks for every single one of these pitches.
Yeah.
I'm crazy prepared. And I'm
Yeah.
actually, but I've learned actually different than I felt in the corporate commercial space sometimes is that I was really building this deck or this creative brief for a brand to be like, here's the thing we're going to do. You guys have a budget of 15 grand, 20 grand, whatever you're thinking. In town, we got 100 grand, six figure budgets, right? This
Right.
spectrum of, like, from even like now, just editing jobs. Like, hey, Wood can come in, handle this thing for you. It's a $5,000 editing job. Boom. There's so many different ways in the film industry you can kind of make deals with brands in the corporate commercial space. And that's what we
Mhm.
learned how to do first.
Right.
And so I learned a lot about building decks, having great creative vision, and understanding that the person that's paying for this is fucking paying for this. This is, I think, a really important concept
Go
too.
off. Yep.
They're paying for this thing, okay? I'm an artist. I want to have what I think would be the best commercial we could possibly make for this thing, right?
Mhm.
And so you might have the best idea and be the one who should be being paid to have the best idea. That's why I'm in the room. That's why you're paying me. That kind of ego and confidence, I think, can be helpful and healthy sometimes.
Right.
However, you have a due diligence to get this person's sign off.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to communicate this to them and get them to go, hell yeah. You
Yeah.
have to be able to do that. And if they don't go, hell yeah, you're signing up for something that's going to be a nightmare. And I can tell you this because I've had nightmare commercial products where we had I won't get too much into this, but we did a commercial that even actually won't say that many details about, but we did a commercial a little while back. Um, and the financier was a local brand and they wanted kind of this big commercial spot. And we were going to make it for them and had this great idea. It was a great commercial. And he was kind of an asshole from the beginning as a business person and financier, but the
Mm-hmm.
numbers were good and we got him to sign the contract and we went and did it.
Yeah.
And then he just kept wanting to change things the whole time. And
Uh,
it ended up in my first ever case of someone not trying to pay me and me having to go through the legal process of demanding a legal for payment action. It was the first time I ever had to go through that process. And I've only ever
really?
had to do it one time like that. This is the single time I've
Yeah.
ever had to do that. And
Yeah.
part of that is because I learned a lesson there about
Mm-hmm.
clarity at the beginning,
Yeah. Yeah.
demanding, and as a producer, that's most of my job. Most of my job is going, here's all this insane complicated thing we're going to try and do to make this film, and every single vendor and every single detail and how this is all going to work and exist, and because I have to do it, so I know how everything has to go, and
Yeah.
it's a lot. My job is to bring alignment and clarity from the top down to this
Mm-hmm.
team to execute this the right way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think my commercial experience and just trying to get better at it, making great work. And then also I would say, because I'm a film producer, to be honest, especially when I first started, my perspective was to find DPs. And this is the case for both the film companies I started.
Mm-hmm.
I went and found a DP that was killing it, that needed an
Which
agent
a
or a
DP
producer,
is
director of
DP
photography,
is
a director of
great.
photography. That's right. So, and there's so many. I mean, directors of photography. Also, I would say, as an independent filmmaker, I have a lot of respect for every single role on the film set,
Mm-hmm.
but I have a unique respect for what a DP is, a really good DP.
And why is that?
Uh, well, one has been formed by my relationship with Chris Newhart, who's my business partner to this day that I've had for the longest time, that we built Booklight together. Um, but is to be a great DP, you have to understand all of filmmaking,
Mm-hmm.
every side of it, from color theory to how the set works to every light to lighting to get. These are filmmakers. These motherfuckers make films. And they're
Mm-hmm.
not just shooting content. And that's the thing about how I feel about the film industry and content to this day is like, I appreciate how quickly and even high quality you can get things, nice looking deliverables out nowadays.
Uh-huh.
But the mastery of craft that goes into true cinematography is why there's a gap between most content creators and filmmakers. There's a gap, and it's a mastery gap. That's what it is. It's a
Totally.
mastery gap,
Totally.
and it's big time. And
Yeah.
so I also thought, as a producer, these are not only the individuals I want to partner with to go, I can take this off something that you know how to do and that you have mastered, and I can help us make more money, and I can start to put these deals together and build a brand around this and do these kinds of things, which is probably what my skill set is. Um, and did it for 4 years with my first business partner. 4 years,
Yeah. Yeah.
failed bad. First company
Oh,
failed bad.
this is what
Yeah,
I love about you is to just take a pause. This is
sure.
to everybody listening. This is one of the things that I just like really respect from you as a friend, as my LA mom, but like as
That's
a
right.
entrepreneur. You have always been so transparent about like your highs, but also your lows. And you
Hmm.
have made me feel so much reassurance living in LA for the past 2 years, running a business, because you are so open about this. So please,
Oh, that's
like, and I
kind.
just so appreciate you doing this. So keep going. I don't want to interrupt you, but I do want to give that, like,
Well, no, that's kind. And also I have like a take that I have, since we're on a podcast talking shit. I have a take about like the concept of failure. I think
mm-hmm,
it's very trendy for people to talk about failure in this kind of way. And like I I appreciate your compliment. I think the way that I tend to try to approach it in my life is going, if you're going to try and do something, like when you're a kid and your parents tell you, why would you go be an artist? There's almost no chance you're going to make it.
yeah,
There's a point in your maturity where you realize that that was a correct fucking statement.
totally,
Okay? That was a
totally,
correct statement. Therefore, you are about to engage in a very difficult, brutal process. Not just in how hard it is for you to actually do the woodshedding and 10,000 hours work of becoming someone who can master what? High-end fine art painting, music, film. What are we talking about? Do you know the greats that have come before you that you're going to try and be a pro next to?
Yep.
What are we talking about? You're trying to make something really, really great that's very difficult to even just master, let alone the opportunity side of it. The ability to get in the industry, to meet people in the industry, to have enough financing to sustain yourself over decades so that you can do this. My point is that what I think almost every single person, even I start to, work with more to who, have been in this industry longer than me, is they are here because they have been through so many things. And yes, there's people that get up there fast and get money fast or have money for no reason. These people
Yeah.
do exist, but here's the beauty of this thing.
Mhm.
I've met people like this who I've met and I go, "Oh, got it. You're in this place. You're someone else helps you get here first." Okay?
Mhm.
And you know a lot even. You even still know a lot about all this stuff.
Yeah.
But when it comes to making this movie and this getting hard, you can't touch me.
Totally. Because of the resiliency that you've had to have over
And it's not
this,
even competitive in that way, right? That's just the concept
right?
of leadership because you're on my team. I'm not trying to have an adversarial relationship with you. I'm trying to have a positive relationship with you. But when
Right.
things get hard, how you're going to act and how I'm going to act are going to be palpable in this room, how different they are. Because
Definitely.
I know how to go, this is a bummer. I hate feeling this emotion right now. I hate this deep hit to my soul and my ego that I'm feeling as something's failing around me. But I
Mm-hmm.
can stay calm, think about it, bring in good counsel, figure out how to move forward and make a good decision. And that is the thing you learn as you go through these failures and then don't quit. Because you are gaining wisdom. But this is the thing is like I also love this idea, like almost like in a spiritual evolutionary kind of concept about how I feel like we've evolved to a place where even with AI and exponential data,
Yeah.
that if you think about ancient animals evolving to where we are now, that I think one thing that humans have uniquely is we have the ability to evolve more than one time within one lifetime.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes.
But
Go
that
there.
hurts, but it hurts every time. It hurts every time. And
I'm
so
literally shutting. No, literally. It's
and
like, are we
so
gonna get easier? No, no,
no. Well, and
100%.
also that's the thing about leadership, right? Is that like, and honestly, even on, I don't, I love talking about masculine and feminine energy, and so this is another
Oh,
large
you know me
conversation.
too.
I
Yes.
know, but one thing I love to talk about on the not male side, but the masculine energy side of this conversation, not to connecting it to gender necessarily, but is
Yes.
that this is the like if the feminine is complete creativity and complete expansion, and then the masculine concept of the yin and the yang is structure and these kinds of things. These things are built for a reason and they're tested through storms.
Yes.
The structure of something is tested through how stable it can be through an extreme
Mm.
situation. That's the
Yes.
concept of testing something like that.
Yes.
And that's where a lot of deep wisdom comes from. Yes, there's creative, complete, high, exponential thinking. That's a side of my job as an entrepreneur to think of new ideas, figure out how the film industry is evolving and shifting, and figuring out ways that we can be thoughtful and strategic in these new opportunities. That's honestly becoming more and more of my job every day.
Right.
But that's why I love making movies. But filmmaking is such an intense, money on the line, time of the essence at all times
Mm-hmm.
kind of process that
Mm-hmm.
deep, healthy structure is so important to the foundation and integrity of making this art. But
Mm.
same bit painting a canvas, right? There's
Right.
structure, there's things you can play outside these things, you can do things differently, you can adjust. But I guess point being there on the like masculine energy side is only going that like in your process of becoming whoever you want to become as a musician, painter, graphic designer, filmmaker, whatever, you're going to have highs and lows in this process because you're a 1099 freelancing entrepreneur. What the fuck you think is going to happen? This is like, what are you
Totally.
talking
Yeah.
about? What do you I mean? This is you're trying to make money on your thing and get people to pay you. What are we talking about? I mean,
It's just not for
welcome.
the sake of like stability and
Yeah.
healthcare and
Well, but here's the thing,
dental.
right? This is the thing. This is the whole idea of like there's the concept of having something consistent, that demands more of your time. And then, and actually, also, I like this idea too. And I really respect my brother in this. I would almost shout him out in a way. My brother has a sales job, works hard, and does great for his family, and now has a kid. He lives near my parents. His life is so beautiful and honestly happier than mine, and so full of that. But that's the concept of going, what if you pay, you figure out a way to gain resources so that you can be happy,
Mm-hmm.
right? An artist views life the opposite of that. One's not right or wrong. Both are important and needed in society and fine and healthy, fine ways to live. An artist goes, I have something that I care, it's passion first. I have something that I care so deeply about that I would bear my cross for this thing for a lifetime. Just to
Absolutely.
have my life be a part of this thing that I care deeply about. But that is a painful choice. That is a painful choice. You can choose this, but take it from old grumpy artist Jacob that it hurts to do.
No, I'll be right there with you because I was just thinking this the other day of like, I'm like looking at my old LinkedIn profile. I'm like, some days, because I do, contemplate either getting a restaurant job, like going back into waitressing, or like going back to like a marketing
Hmm.
agency, having a boss, getting some healthcare. I'm like, you could. Nobody is literally forcing you to do this. And I think about this great kind of like quote suggestion from Rick Rubin, and he talks about how when you're so fed up like of your project, your creative project, or really anything, if you're so fed up, you can ask yourself, and he does this to artists that get stuck up in the studio. They're like, I don't
Yeah.
want to sing anymore. I don't want to do this. He's like, well, you don't have to do it. So it's all good. You don't have to do
Yep.
it. And then oftentimes not, they'll be like, well, no, but I want to do, and then it's like you're back into it. You're like, no, I want to do it. And I like what you're saying too. I need to do it. And I do align with that because I can't really see a retirement for murals, paintings, and this. And I'm sure the same is with movie making, right? Like score who is the sweet angel that Killers of the Flower Moon? How old is he?
Oh, Scorsese.
Yeah.
Film. You got time. If you want to be in this thing for a minute, you can do this for a minute. On the directing and the acting side, to be honest with you, you can do it for a minute. Well,
Right.
here's the thought I have about this that I love you're talking about is because the Rick Rubin Creative Act we love, very good book. But even on that too, he mentioned this idea of chasing your inspiration, and I think that can be like a what does that mean kind of statement. Here's how I would define that. One thing you'll see with a lot of professional actors is that professional actors often go do theater intentionally in between films. They'll go do a theater run after they're on a film for a minute, right? And a lot of the reason for that is when you're shooting a movie on set, when you play music, I love being around the music industry. The music industry is so fun because you're moving energy when you're up there. You are on stage in front of people doing the thing, that getting all the height dopamine feedback you could possibly experience. And this is why live stage performance is such a wild thing because you are moving art in a intense one-on-one way when you're doing a live show. Actors, screen actors, film actors don't get this experience with anyone but the crew. The crew gets to be in the moment, in the real moment when this tear is coming out and this scene's getting fucking heavy, or when the laughs are coming so fast and so insane and all of the improv that no one's ever going to see in the entire world. That's because half of us just can't even make the fucking edit. It's ridiculous. Is happening, those moments. We only get that on set.
Wow.
After that, it goes. Then there's the edit, and the editing team gets to have their inspirational moments and connection. But a film goes through so many phases. I say this all to say, back to our conversation, actors will often go do theater to get that again and to challenge and push themselves to do the same thing 2 weeks in a row, full audiences, and give it to them every goddamn fucking time,
Yeah.
so that when they go back to screen, they've got some juice again. And so one thing I would say is, because you also mentioned like going back to bartending or these things too, these ideas connect. You as an artist have things that you can accomplish that can be monetized, that you're inspired by and moved to and are developing the craft for. And as you develop a craft in something, you don't realize you're cross training for a craft in something else that wasn't on your option menu beforehand because you didn't even think about it beforehand.
Ooh,
right? This is growth.
Mm-hmm.
This is how growth happens. You grow and really gain more wisdom and knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get cash through in your life. You got to have a living. You got to find ways to make cash.
Right.
Oftentimes it becomes bartending and other jobs, which is
Mm-hmm.
fine. Not to tangent again, I'll get back to this, but I'm not about to advocate for selling drugs. I want to be clear about that before I say what I'm about to say. I'm not advocating for selling drugs. Okay? I'm not. Don't quote me on that. Okay?
But we don't
But
judge.
here's
We
one
don't judge.
wisdom I want us to learn from people in the music industry that come up selling shit before their music comes out. Okay?
Oh, mm-hmm.
These people who are selling drugs to do this are able to create cash flow so that they can own their records independently from a label. And then by the time they've grown, they own all the exponential upside profitability. Okay?
Whoa. Yeah.
But I'm just going, it's fine and shouldn't be an ego kill to yourself to provide for your family and your loved ones as you pursue your dream. What are we talking
Preach.
about? That's
Preach
fine.
it, speak it, yes,
That's a part of being a human being who cares about the people in your community and your life and whatever and the people in your life. That's an
Mm-hmm.
admirable quality for anybody who is trying to do this. So
Totally.
do that to make sure that you're doing that fine. But if you pursue this thing through a long enough period of time and grow your mastery, and you're paying for a master's degree. Actually, I was just thinking about this the other day that I feel like in higher education, because I didn't go to school, like that's not my perspective. Is not a school perspective of any of this. I just have an indie perspective, right? Is going people will go pay to get what's called a master's degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody in the professional art space that I feel like we all have this unspoken respect for each other in our unending pursuit of mastery.
Yes. Yes.
We don't
Yes.
need a degree. I don't need a degree to motivate me to learn more about the film industry. I don't need
Totally.
one.
Totally.
And your master doesn't stop when someone gives you a fucking certificate. Go fuck yourself.
100%.
I'm talking shit. That's not when it stops. You have to become look at the great writers and philosophers of our time. Look at the great artists of our time. These people were locked in until they died. And that's what I love about this idea that like it's not about any one of our singular fame or our even temporary concept of fame, because even if you have unbelievable fame, especially nowadays, it's so finite and relative and ultimately forgotten about. Deep history, deep legacy only comes through mastery. It doesn't come through fame. If you chase fame, you'll get your shit here and there and you might get paid. You might get paid and be able to retire and shit, but you won't have necessarily contributed to the history of art in the medium of which you're committing to. And that I think is more important in a higher pursuit to care about, which is why I'm saying if you want to go through this life, you are selling your soul to rock and roll. You are. You're selling
Totally.
your soul to this beautiful thing, but I'm saying if you're going to sell it to God or religion or somebody else, this is a way more awesome thing to sell it to. This is a way more awesome thing to sell it to. I don't want to get people mad, but I'm just saying this is a. I would rather sell it to the beautification of the world, and even in my case with film,
Totally.
like I'm so passionate about like equity and trying to find ways to like help some of the strikes and things that are going on to figure out ways to like make the film industry
Right.
healthier for artists.
Right.
I'm happy to spend the next 30 years of my life fighting to make great films, but also I might transition into writing or into
Right.
music producing and producing albums.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have not sure the spectrum of how my career will go because I know how to not hold on to something tight that isn't
Mm-hmm.
mine almost in that way to begin with. I want to pursue who I want to become as an artist throughout my life as it naturally evolves and the opportunities and money arise to. And be flexible and move like water in that way with my career. I didn't
Yes.
want to build a distribution company, Kat. I didn't want to do this. Want to know how? Want to know why I built why I own a distribution company now? Because
What?
we fucking had to build one in order to get our movies out into the world. If there was an easier way for us to have gotten into where we are today, I would have taken it. I promise you. I promise you, I would have taken the exit. I would have gone, oh, HBO wants 20 movies, done. So I'm in. But we had to come up this way, and it gave us a different perspective. It gave us a different perspective on how to sell art independently, how to
Right.
make money and monetize things, and not have to be owned by the man in that way,
Right.
and be independent. And then, but I'm so grateful now that we have this perspective because even now, as we make other studio deals and stuff, I understand the independent market of how my work would make money without these people, and it changes
Right.
how I can negotiate deals with them. Because I'm like, I already know
Mm-hmm. Which
how
gives
this
you
might do
freedom.
and the way if I were going to do it by myself. I'm just
Mhm.
negotiating against what I believe I can do with data and proof against whatever you're going to pay me for this thing. And if you're going to pay me
Right.
5 times this number, fuck it. All right, you can have it. But also, if I believe in the art enough, where I'm like, I don't want any other creatives touching the value of this IP other than these people that made it, then
Yeah.
the money doesn't matter. I'll have more integrity and sleep at night keeping this thing independent anyway. But
Yeah.
now we're talking about sales, and the deals all, it's all about having freedom. You make different deals as they make sense in different capacities, you know?
All about freedom. You literally came
It's
back
about
to
freedom
like
though.
exactly what I wanted to talk about, and I feel like this new like the new look of freedom like that I've seen, and I feel like our generation and kind of the soon to be like society, full society realizing this is the freedom that comes with having your IP and owning your IP. And I
Yes.
didn't even realize the importance of owning your IP
Yes.
until hearing about Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
not what
It's a great
she was
story.
like, yeah, she was willing to sacrifice getting like buco bucks as long as she was able to keep her IP, and her partner, right, was like,
Yep.
no, like you're totally missing the point. She's like, no, you're missing the point about not keeping the IP. So for those that don't understand what IP means, what is IP and why should artists fight to keep their IP and protect
What
it?
an awesome question. I would love to answer. So, um, first, let's define IP. That's a good starting point, right? For anyone listening to this who's not exactly sure what we're talking about, because we're starting to talk about some, legal, high level, art sales stuff, right? And when we're
Right.
talking about IP, okay?
Mhm.
Intellectual property is all that we're talking about. Intellectual property. That's what that stands for, okay? When you make an art, okay, in the contract that you're signing, in that you're doing with anything, this could be music, this could be whatever. It's sometimes defined differently. It's masters, it's whatever. But the highest term you could call it is IP. It all falls under the umbrella of intellectual property, okay? And even for a brand like Disney, just to go for example, right? All a company is a fucking piece of paper. Just so we're all, it's a piece of paper and a bunch of people. That's all any. It doesn't. I don't care how big your company is. That's what it is. A piece of paper and a bunch of people. But then it's a brand, okay? And this brand starts to mean something in society. And this is no different from an album cover. It's a brand in a way. And absolutely, and by the way, it was made by a graphic designer. Go fuck yourself. It's a brand, okay? This thing was designed to look like this, okay? It was. I don't care how religious you are about your music. I'm telling you, whether it was by those creatives or a director of somebody of this image that you love was designed by a designer who made this thing, okay?
Right.
And said, this is awesome. This is what it needs to look like, okay? All that to say, someone owns this and all the revenue that comes from this.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody owns that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And in the past, we can talk about the history, which I will do very briefly. I will not bore anybody, but like both in music and in film, it started with a complete 100% ownership of that IP by the financier.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we paid for this company. We built, and also, I want to be clear about this because it's easy for artists to get riled up. I would encourage everyone to calm down and think about this properly from a historical perspective. Okay.
Right.
The person who's paying for it, to be clear, needs to own some or a lot of this thing. They fucking paid for it. What are you talking about? You
Right.
wouldn't have this thing if they didn't put their risk, their personal risk to believe in you in your project. Of
Right.
course, this is an investment in every legal way possible that they're doing this because they like what you make a ton of money and you just give it to people for no
This
return to
isn't
just
charity.
what do you this and even if it is okay, so you can do 501c3 things sometimes too, but people only have so much money and we're talking about making a movie. This is a million, 5 million, 10 million, $50 million. What are we talking about? Okay,
Right.
so there's my flag of green flag towards the financier, my white flag towards these people. Okay, they did pay
Right.
for this thing and they believe in this thing and should be recouped.
Yeah.
But the artist is who made this thing, and I, even as a producer, know that this is true. I 100% agree that this is the case. This financier who paid for this thing didn't make this piece of art that's moving and changing society. The artist made that, right? Who
Right.
made this podcast and had these ideas and Call Her Daddy and made all this stuff? That's Alex Cooper. She made that. That's who
Yeah.
made that, right? Not the person who paid for it.
Yeah.
So we're now evolving to a place in a little bit more where artists are learning, especially as we're able to use Instagram and social media. This is the creator economy needs to be thanked for this evolution, by the way, that people were able to make so much money independently that they were like, well, I already know that I have power. I already know that I have a relationship to my fans and I can capitalize on revenue independently. So
Mm-hmm.
I should own, I can do the business and the creative. Why shouldn't I
Mm-hmm.
own more of this? And
Right.
that's correct. And so I think now, like in the kind of deals that we do, we really fight for a healthier, more equitable relationship between the artists that are making this and having complete creative control. And creative control is an important part of that process too. Who has final, absolute creative say on what happens? Somebody does, just so you know. And if you're working with your friends saying, "Oh, all this hierarchy stuff doesn't matter. It's all, it's old school," you're wrong. You're
Yeah.
wrong. You're absolutely wrong. If you don't know who's in charge of your whole creative project that you and your friends are making, then nobody is in charge and it's going to fail. I promise you. There is
Good
something
point.
healthy about film, about the director role. This is
Yeah.
one of my favorite things about filmmaking. And it's something that I talk about with all my directors that I work with, even as a producer, because I'm often very creatively controlled and in charge of these projects. And really, even I almost have the relationship with the financier where I'm the one the financier is bringing on to be like, you're the one that's going to make sure this thing fucking works. And
Yeah.
then I have to bring on a director to be like, we need to make something that's going to be awesome. You know what I mean? But in that, I have such care and emotional desire for this thing to be amazing and have my own vision and my own thoughts for it, which is why every director I work with, we have the same conversation on set and on all creative decisions. You are going to have final say over me. I'm giving
Mm.
it to you right now. You are going to
Mm-hmm.
have final say over me on you are in charge of the creative decisions. You will never you will never see me change this on you.
That
Here's the
is
deal. But
that
there's the
was
deal.
so important to have that to just lay
Uh-huh.
it out there and put out that communication, right? Because like in a healthy relationship, like girlfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, boyfriend, like
Yep.
healthy communication, healthy
Well,
communication.
but there's a deal though. There's a deal. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just that you get it.
Mm-hmm.
The deal is I get to be as honest with you in this process as I want to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You will decide, but if I don't like it, you're going to hear about it.
Yeah.
Not because I'm challenging you and whatever. I'm just here to hold us accountable to making something awesome. And you're going to convince me that you're right. But actually, I shouldn't even say that. You're not going to convince me that you're right. You're going to get to decide. You're going to get to
Right.
decide. Always. There's no
Right.
convincing of me, whatever. But my job as a producer is to hold an artist accountable to become the greatest thing they possibly could be. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you're the quarterback who's going to be I'm going to make sure you're the most famous because of this. More people are going to know about who you are than who I am when this is over. You're going
Mm-hmm.
to win financially on this, and it's going to be a great movie. And I'm going to hold you accountable to this. I'm the head coach. You're the quarterback. It's fine.
Yeah.
And also, that's not a true analogy. A director might say that they're their head coach. Trust me, they probably would.
Right.
But I would say that in my relationship to them, I'm going. I want you to win. I want you to succeed. This isn't a power struggle between you and I. This is me
Mm-hmm.
wanting to see abundance in your life. I
Mm-hmm.
want to see abundance in your life come from this film that we worked on together. My job is to make sure that there's somebody holding you accountable because nobody should not have accountability. And that's, I feel like,
Absolutely.
my job as a producer to empower artists that I work with and have them win.
Mm-hmm. A
And to
hundred.
be clear, I think I'm 3 for 3 on this between our minimalism film, between Gillian Keeves, between Little Empty Boxes, between the films that I've made. I'm really proud of the films that we've made, but I'm also proud of how much better in life everyone who worked on those projects life has become since working on them.
Yeah.
That is my even deep like human desire to like want to see my friends win. Every
Yeah.
movie I've made has been with someone who I care deeply about. How I was like, I want you to fucking win,
Yeah.
and I respect you and care about you and want to see your life move forward positively. And it's an honor as a producer to kind of get and sit in the back and be a part of people's journeys in that way.
100%. And it is, and you are just, I think that's why you're my LA mom, is because you are very grounding in being that soundboard wall of support, but also realism when a realistic view needs to
Yeah,
be shed as
totally,
well.
totally.
Do you feel comfortable talking about, and correct me if any of this is wrong, but when you were working with, um, Gillian Keys, there was a
Hmm.
situation where somebody was like semi going through some semi like cancellation. Wasn't
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah.
Was
Shane
correct?
Gillis.
I
Yeah,
was gonna say.
yes.
What was that like working with somebody in that dynamic? I'm sure that, right, like
Mm,
especially in today's society,
it's a great
when it's
question.
not just if someone's getting canceled, but then it's like, oh, like you're working with them, and I'm sure that that brings someone to thinking, you know,
Yeah,
how is this going to reflect on me? Do I let, like, what was that process like?
a hundred
And
percent.
what was that like?
Um, so and I love one thing also that you know about me that you and I have had a relationship through as well is I went through a divorce. And one thing I would say about that is I won't talk that much about that on a podcast, but I would say that like to for her and myself is that when something hard enters your life, it's important that when it's over, you are proud of how you handled it.
Mm-hmm.
You feel you had integrity through the process. I say that to
Mm-hmm.
say that that is what I saw of Shane Gillis when I met him
Yeah.
and how and so meaning like Shane was very famously hired and fired from SNL. Basically, he was on a podcast, we made a joke, people didn't like it, he got fired next day. It was back in the height of when this was kind of happening. And to be honest with you, there's a case to be made that what happened with Shane ended some of this a little bit
Yeah.
because of honestly, it's just I love his story. But so when I met Shane, it was right as that had like truly like in 2020 when that was going on.
Yeah.
And he was like a Philly comic at the time. You know what I mean? He wasn't as big as he is today at the time. He was like a Philly comic who was super funny, super crazy respected in the
Yeah.
stand up scene in Philly as a comic, as someone who was funny, and as a good motherfucker. And so when all this happened, a lot of us who kind of knew when we were around Shane were like, this is a bummer and this is really ridiculous that he got fired like this. And that was kind of the honest respect and attitude. And then like very quickly, like Shane meets Chappelle quickly in this process, and like Chappelle's like, I'm with you, bro. And then he meets Rogan and all these like, and then these amazing female comics, and they all were just like, you're that motherfucker. And it's like, yeah, Shane was awesome, and also Shane is a high integrity, really nice. I've shot two major projects with Shane, and there's nobody I've met who not only was a wonderful talent to work with, just funny on set, great energy on set, but also kind to everybody,
Yeah.
kind to everybody throughout the process, doesn't have an ego like that, was a joy to get to work with Shane. And so my answer to you about when you're working with someone, because even it's funny, it's different, but like Max Lugavere, who I work with now and doing our little empty boxes documentary with, the food world is very like vegan meat eater like against each other. It's religious in this way, and it's very very funny. But
Yeah.
so controversy is a part of the entertainment industry. That's one thing that you learn maturely, and
Mm.
you learn maturely over time the difference between controversy and a motherfucker I don't want to talk to again because fuck you.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Through
Yeah.
human experience and meeting these people, you can tell the difference. And I have been going the slow, hard way the whole way. My integrity, Chris and mine's integrity, we're trying to fight for equity in this. I care about working with people that I have respect for.
Yeah.
I do. You work with some people that you don't like all the time, and that's fine. That's a part of being a grown up and, you know, like working with people. But when it comes to integrity issues like that, this stuff is something that you have to have responsibility for, but also for me, that's how I viewed it. I was like, who's this human I'm working with? If this dude's a weirdo who got canceled and we're trying to make money on him, let's not do that. And then we got to know Shane and it was like, well, that's not what this is at all. This dude is like, and this dude is a budding, unbelievable talent that we are having early access to, who's a kind, generous, wonderful individual. I
Yeah.
can't wait to go work with him and build something amazing and see. And then Gillian Keeves became what it became now. And Shane's career, separate from Gillian Keeves, has become unbelievably successful. And he's just gotten all the good things that have happened to him. And I'm so proud and happy for all that's happened with Shane. But
Yeah.
that's testament to what we knew was true in 2020
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I met the human and know and understood who this person was and respected them. And if I've met many people in this industry, many people. I meet more lawyers and producers and actors and directors than I ever have before than I do now in my life in LA and just what I do for my job now.
Right.
And it's not even that deep sometimes and that heavy sometimes. Sometimes people, I'm just like, I don't want to work with this person.
Yeah.
This is, it's not even as heavy as like deep, evil, disintegrity stuff. It's like, I'm looking for a hell yes or a hell no every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And it
Uh-huh.
doesn't have to be so by that metric. I have no anxiety about the cancellation conversation or things like that. People get fired, things happen. We want to create a healthier industry where like the real dark side of this stuff never happens anymore. And as a white heterosexual male film producer who's like growing in this industry, I care deeply about safe environments on set, safe environments in the workplace. Like that stuff's all crazy, crazy important.
Yeah.
And I think that the industry is getting healthier this way. By the way, there's still monsters and people that exist, you know, whatever. But I do
Mm-hmm.
think that there also one thing I think is kind of cool about this between my corporate client work
Mhm.
and my just film industry relationships, it's 80% women. I don't mean that in a way that like, oh, look, I work with lots of women. I mean, meaning like I've seen a healthier industry as I've come up in it as a millennial. I've
Yeah.
seen so many, and not just that women, men is the conversation, but like I've had wildly overwhelmingly good experiences with kind people, and on both sides of the spectrum, male and female, I've had relationships where I'm like, I fuck this person. I never want to talk to this person again. I don't want to work with this person ever again. They did nothing for us. They were rude in the process. But that's what I
Right.
mean. I think you kind of get beyond some of these like more cultural like talking point conversations, and when you
Yeah.
meet someone and match good energy with someone, you're like, oh, we and I are going to work great together. We both have good energy. We both care about this being a good project. We care about people being respected in this process. I think that kind of high integrity energy is also not that hard to meet when you see people and find people that you want to work with.
Right. And it sounds like
Anyway,
throughout our entire conversation, at the heart of succeeding in this business and just also just in any business and just keeping sane and surviving is listening to your freaking gut from what you told us about like
yeah,
the financier at the beginning, from like Shane and trusting that he was a good human, to just beyond. It seems like that is one of the most important things for longevity in film, but also just in general
yeah.
with running a business
Well,
for you.
and also I'd say too, like when these moments really present themselves to you in real life, like it's not just a talking point, like oh, this is presenting itself to me. It happens slowly. It doesn't happen quickly. Things can change quickly. Things can change quickly. But when you're like meeting and making these decisions, like the other person I would love even to shout out and call out in a positive light is John McKeever, the director of Killing Keeps and who directed Tires on Netflix with Shane as well. Is
Okay.
Yeah, he's same director, same writer director. He's John's the best. He's great. But also, it's like when I was getting asked to work with Shane, I was getting asked to work with Shane through John originally, and John is someone that I have a lot of respect for and view as a really great creative director and a amazing, highly respected human being within the world of Philadelphia. John's very well respected within Philadelphia. Is This is the person who's doing this with me too, who is advocating for this person. And so I guess in your life, like you'll see lots of red flags towards things sometimes, but then you can also see green flags of people that you respect and people who you have admiration for, you know, doing those kinds of things and talking positively about somebody. And then, truly I have only glowing things to say about Shane. He's wonderful.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I want to touch on, we've been talking about the past and like the journey of everything, but I want to talk about recently in the present. You have been finishing up going on tour with, you've mentioned your latest documentary. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about the documentary, but then also tell us about the experience of going on tour. Was this one of the first tours that you've done the stops, or have you previously done this before?
No, great question. So yeah, we have a new documentary called Little Empty Boxes. It's very sad but very very good, about dementia and Alzheimer's, about a guy named Max Lugavere who has a wonderful podcast, is a wonderful human being as well, and basically caretook for his mother as she was like losing her mind on going through dementia, and like he filmed the whole thing. It's awesome. And it's so intense. It's great. And so we came on. We probably worked on this project for about 3 years now. We came on a while ago and started after we had done our Netflix documentary with the Minimalists. I got connected to Max after that film. I meet lots of different people all the time. You know what I mean? And he was somebody that I had met and said he had a project he wanted to do, had been shot a lot about, and so he kind of showed us like an early edit of it, and very very different, like just very very kind of different film entirely, but kind of an edit of some things he'd been putting together,
Yeah.
and then it was just like through that footage, I just saw some of these moments that he'd shot with his mom, and I was like, "Damn, dude, you really filmed this thing, man! Like you really took your camera out in front of your mom and filmed her. Wow, this is some heavy journalism, man, you know." And then
Wow.
Chris Newhart, who's my business partner and is an amazing director, I was like, "Hey, man, take a look at this. What do you think about this?" And Chris was like, "I think this is awesome." And so we decided to come together and we kind of financed and worked with Max to take on that project. And there was more, the interviews, which some had been shot. I think a lot had already been shot, but we did a bunch of animations. We did a whole re-edit. We managed the entire post-production and took the film apart. And Chris started from zero and remade an entire new film. With all of the arc that he wanted to tell. And so it was cool because, and actually, this is a heavy story, actually. The second that Chris Newhart took on this project, shout out to RJ, who is Chris's wife, who I'm very close with and love deeply. Um, her mother got dementia the second Chris took on this project in the editing.
Oh,
The
my.
second, like in a crazy way. And so Chris was going through this
Whoa.
insane life experience that this had just hit his family
Oh
the
my God,
second
that
he
gives
started.
me goosebumps.
I know.
That's
But you know what's
so
so crazy about this? Back to what we were talking about
amazing.
earlier about like the hard road of being an artist. This is what I'm talking about. No one can say shit about Chris Newhart. I'll defend Chris Newhart to the day I die.
Yeah.
This dude's an artist, man.
Yeah.
He's going through it in his own life. Gets this
Yeah.
and instead of going, you know what, this is too much for me right now. I'm gonna put this project aside. Used what he was going through with his partner and this project and the financial consequences of having to take on someone in life with that way, all the bad, every
Yeah.
side of the bad they took on,
Yeah.
and loved her through this process and were caretakers to her and cared about his family through this process, and then
Yeah.
edited Max's story while he was going through that.
Um,
And it created an unbelievable piece of art that I'm unbelievably proud of, like as a film that I'm proud of. You know what I mean?
oh,
Got
I
100% Rotten Tomatoes right now, so that's not so bad.
bet.
You know what I mean?
Hey, no,
That's not so
100%
bad.
shout
That's what I'm
out.
saying. I'm an audience
Wow.
score. It's pretty good with me. And
That,
so,
yeah,
yeah,
totally.
that's not so bad. But so anyway,
Wow.
that's the film out. We've been working on it for like 3 years now. It took a long time to make. And
Oh my.
yeah, so we already did a theatrical distributions. We already did it in theaters. More theaters might be coming, in maybe in the future, but we're essentially done with theatrical. But then what we do is we have our big online release, so we make it available online and sell it directly to consumers and make them available. And there's custom packages you can get. You can get it with like a signed poster. You can do it with you can buy the movie. You can just rent the movie. You can get limited merchandise. But for this film, we don't really do merchandise. It's an important film that we didn't want to like do too much with. To be honest with you,
Right.
like this is a
Oh,
film for you to engage with, consume, talk about your family. We're not like trying to grab everybody's money. We just want to make it available to buy. And then if you want to
right.
sign a poster with Max, a lot of people have wanted that and so asked for it. So we made that available as well.
Oh, and that's so cool about the
And we partnered with the
platform.
Alzheimer's Foundation of America. Shout out to them. We partnered with the
Oh,
AFA on the project as well, and they were wonderful to work with.
I mean, that's so cool. The like such a cool aspect of your like platform with this movie and like others is that when the audience reacts and says that they have interest in like further diving into that realm, into the
Yeah,
world of that movie or documentary, they can, and you can make those, you can answer to the public much sooner, it seems, than
yeah,
the old way of doing things.
yeah. Oh, 100%. And also, like, in the financing side of it, when you have these important movies that come out like this that are like heavy and are about real people and things like that, like the money made from this movie is going to Max, the son who, like, it's going to the person who made this art, who did this thing, who went
Right.
through this process.
Who
Like, they're
deserves it?
like, Netflix isn't winning,
Yeah.
the artist is winning. And that's so important to me. And the process, like, I think the future of how the creator economy has changed our ability to distribute films and get the right person paid. Everybody
Right.
gets paid, but the right person's getting paid. And I think that
Right.
that's a really, really cool thing. And it also allows us to make art with no notes from an executive. Like, this is the film that Max and Chris wanted to tell. That's it.
Yes.
That's what this movie is.
Yes. And deserve to tell because they firsthand saw it. They have been
Yeah.
putting in the hours and that's who deserves it.
Yeah. So that's that project. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I am so grateful to have this conversation with you. And I just feel
Same.
like this has been the most, I mean, if
I blacked
anybody,
out. I could do this for forever. This
so
is fun.
many. I thought you said
And
I'm
with
black.
you,
Oh, oh my God. Especially after
wait,
we can
I
have
have a
five.
question for you before we go. Can I ask
Yeah.
you a question?
Oh, sure. What's your question?
What do you feel like is something that um, you are creatively exploring right now? What is something that you feel like you're really trying to dive into and explore creatively?
Oh, oh my gosh, the freaking tables have turned.
As far as my podcast now.
Available on little boxes.
That's right.
Oh, it wouldn't be a proper conversation, mother-daughter, if
That's right.
mom
I need to check in.
check in. Yeah, you're like, are you selling drugs right now?
Better not be.
I am right. We're not gonna fucking know. I am right now. Ooh, okay. I'm actually exploring. I'm gonna give you two answers. The first thing I'm exploring is incorporating more narrative into my own work because I feel
Cool.
like I came from the art world that I not came from, but like worked in was such like high lux art, and it felt like it only had the purpose of looking beautiful on a wall, which is a purpose, and for sure, like
Sure.
art does not always have to be
And a
some.
part of the fine art market and nature of how that works. Yeah.
Totally, totally. So I feel like I'm just now allowing myself the time and space to do that. Another thing that this is super recent that I feel like I'm experiencing is with a lot of different people, and it's such, I'm super grateful for it, is what are the boundaries of collaboration, like especially creative
That's great.
collaboration? Because I feel as a recovering people pleaser, I always want people in a creative setting to feel heard, to feel seen, and I want to like if I'm collaborating with somebody or if I'm having a conversation, like a present conversation with someone, I value the fuck out of them. I love the fuck out of them, and I want you to feel like the most creative motherfucker because you are the most creative motherfucker.
Yeah.
But I feel that sometimes that erases my space that I'm creating myself, right? Because we're just projecting to everybody, we're just projecting out there to everything that we're experiencing in this little life body bag of ours. And I feel like I've realized by almost allowing everyone to give their input or giving so much space for it, right? There's only so much space. And it's like if I give them the whole yard, like where the hell am I going to play? Like where do I get to? So, and I'm recognizing that that is not, that's only in respect to myself. That's not in being like I want control. And that's been a very interesting thing to experience and to just write.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think my worry, to be super vulnerable and real, my worry is that in collaboration I never want anybody to think like, oh, she wants it her own way, or she wants, you know, that's like a real
Hmm.
ass creative collaboration fear of mine. Like I would be so heartbroken if on the streets, or if we were like at a gallery or something, like if we are at Mother Gallery and I heard somebody say that about me, I'd be like, but I don't. But yeah, I think, and you and I have had so many conversations around this, like getting older, getting to adulthood, like on the way to getting closer to 30, but just recognizing that if you are going to be in a creation space or like a head of the creator, head of the leader, and you kind of tapped on this earlier with talking to like directors, that there does have to be a time where you're like, no, I'm actually making the decision right now and
Hmm.
not allow, you know.
Can I give you one fun thought?
Of course. Go.
Respect is created through healthy boundaries.
Mm, yes.
And I think if you want to lead a team and like as you're going more collaborations,
Yeah.
there is someone in charge. And that's okay. That's
And,
okay.
and you
As
have
long as that person leads with
yes.
respect and care for others. But like
Yeah.
that's the thing is like I can have a healthy, amazing relationship with you and hold you accountable to this thing that we decided is going to be done. Right?
Yes.
But that doesn't
Yes.
have to be, hey, you're not doing your job. Hey, I want it my way. It's going, who's in charge? What's your vision? We're all
Mhm.
here, paid or whatever our role is, defined by the role that we're here to make this thing happen. And we can all have ideas in service of this thing that we're making together,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But someone's going to decide the answer, and then that will be the director or the person in charge or the main artist in charge of the project, right? Like that's the person who's in charge.
Mhm.
And yes, people are going to be annoyed when their ideas don't get what they want, but
Yeah.
that's okay. That's their role. And that's
Right.
fine. And we're in subordinate roles, sometimes we're in executive roles. It changes based on the project, I feel like. But for
Mhm.
me, that's how I like to think about it.
Yeah. No, that's so perfect. And it's exactly the medicine that I needed to hear. And also when you had said the okay, another LA mother daughter moment, when you had mentioned in when you're creating something, when you're doing something creative with your friends and nobody's the leader, then there's no leader or no one's taking charge. And in
And this
that
is going to fail. I promise you it's going to fail. I
oh,
promise. I've seen it happen too many
totally.
times.
No, and I'm so glad that you say that because sometimes I feel like, right, sometimes you can't, there's also the whole lesson of like, sometimes you can't like work with like friends, right? But like in that situation, I feel like I put myself into it and I was like, oh my God, I feel like so bossy by saying that, but it's true that it won't. You need
Well, but
that
also
stuff.
like think about school and education. I love talking about this. Bonus section. We're into a bonus section. I know we're in overtime. We're in overtime. Is that like even we when we're young, like you're creating when you're in school, right? You're younger. You're coming up. You're a kid. You're creating. You're in middle school. You're in high school, grade school. You start creating for the first time,
Mhm.
and you are creating in a very probably even more free than your adult space. You might be creating one of your freest, spaces creatively because there's no self awareness yet. Like you're whatever, right?
Definitely.
And so, but you're also is the most immature you've ever been. I'm not saying you're an immature person because you're in high school or middle school. I'm just saying in the spectrum of your life, as you grow and mature, you're not as mature yet as you will be as you get older, which I know young people hate to hear, but it's okay to recognize that. You might be very mature for your age as well. That's fine. But you got more to go. I promise. I got more to go. I'm only 32. I got lots of more. When I'm 55, I'll have a different perspective. I hope I have slightly different perspectives when I'm 55. You know what I mean? But is going, we take a lot of ego hits and learn as a child to be emotionally affected by someone not liking your idea or someone not liking you for your idea and you take it personally. And when you're young, you take it personally. You go, "Oh, they're critiquing me personally." One hard thing that happens through the maturation process of an artist is you learn to give your whole soul to an idea and then learn to separate this motherfucker from yourself.
Part of the mastery as an artist.
You have to
Whoa.
learn to do that thing where you go, I know, and also as you become a professional artist, you're making so many things. I'm literally in the process of making and negotiating like 5 movies right now at the same time, which is
Yeah.
a lot and more, and it seems to be growing more. But I have to be able to plug into one of those films
Mhm.
and make it while I'm in the meeting and thinking about this thing. And when my window of time is focused on this film, this is gonna nothing's gonna stop me from making this the greatest thing I could possibly make it. And then I
Yeah.
leave that meeting. And then I plug into another
Oh.
one, right? And
Uh-huh.
when I'm in this space too, it's not going, this is my thing. It's going, let me take in all the context of all the relationships of everybody involved in this project and how do I move this thing forward as thoughtfully and kindly as I possibly can so this becomes the greatest thing it can possibly become. But then the next film I'm in has a whole different set of people and a whole different side of emotions and things, whatever. And like, I can't tell you how many times as a producer on set, I go on a walk with the DP.
Yeah.
I go on a walk with the PA that's having a hard time. I
Yeah.
go sit down with someone who's struggling on set and let them sit with me and be a coach and therapist in that moment and like figure out what's getting at this human being right now and what's the problem that they're going through. But this is just I'm just talking about leadership. That's just the concept of good, caring leadership in that process.
Mhm.
And going that you're someone who I've hired to do a specific thing, and as it relates to me holding you accountable to this, you're going to give me fucking. When you're on set with me, when set's over, I won't call you.
Yeah.
I'll see you on set next morning. You don't need to fucking hear from me. We got this thing built in such a way that it respects people's time.
Yeah.
You're on set being the gaffer of my movie.
Your
You're
ass is
here because
serious.
I know you're no, and you're here because I know you're awesome, and I don't gotta tell you anything.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
know that you're here because when your grip team is getting stuff set up and my first AD needs this to happen right now, when you're not shooting, you already know what the next 10 shots are going to be for the day and exactly how we can accomplish them the most efficient way while we're in between the set. But that's every gaffer that I work with and do that. But I'm going like, we're locked in here, and then we can also like talk about how their husband's doing,
Yeah.
like how this woman's husband's doing and what's happening at home and how life is and what's going on with them as a human being. I can still have those relationships, but then we both turn on our professional hat when we're talking about the project. I say this
Yeah.
all to say when friends start making projects together, you're putting them both, you're combining everything. You're going, everything
Yep.
here is my personal relationship with you, everything here is my this relationship with you. You're not able to compartmentalize and go, hey, you know what? When we walk into this room together and we show up to band practice, we show up to make this art together, we show up to set up this event, we leave everything at the door
Yeah.
and we come in here together and go, how do we make this as awesome as we can and want everyone in here to win because it's that awesome. That's the energy you have to tap into.
Yeah.
And then okay, you're mad about you disagree over something. Okay, pick one. It's fine. It's one project. It's one creative decision. Let it be this one. Then you go for a while and realize, you know what? Maybe in the edit we should switch it to the other one. You don't know. This thing isn't done yet. You don't even know what it is yet. You're making it right now. The whole
Yeah.
process is like I don't know. Maybe this will be good. Maybe this will be good. That's like writing a screenplay. It's like this thing is filmmakers often say films are never finished; they're abandoned, and that's I think a very apt comment
Ah.
for this conversation. They're
Oh.
abandoned. At some point, you go, I guess it's good enough to put it out.
No, that's literally how I feel about paintings. When people are like, "Do you just know that they're done?" I'm like, "No, I just got to put
You're
it."
like, I know it's done because the deadline is now, and
Yeah.
it has to be put out. It's good. Send it out.
Totally. I even too was just obviously working with our friend Ian, and we were like going over his album cover, and we were like cracking up because we were like,
Yeah.
we can't adding any more pieces of grass to your little like mound tile on your cover. We gotta stop. We gotta
Yeah.
step away from the computer, or else this we're just gonna jack the thing up.
Yeah. Oh
We
yeah.
need to step back.
Oh, I can keep talking about this for forever. I know if we got to go, we got to go. This is going to be a long. I don't want to have a too long podcast for your listeners. This isn't Joe Rogan. We're not trying to be here for 3 hours. But I was going to say,
I
uh,
know.
I like. It doesn't matter. What I'm going to say doesn't matter. I'm done. I got nothing else. That's it.
Yeah.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
We're fucking abandoning it. We're fucking abandoning it.
Abandon. This has been fun.
I'm so grateful to you, and I'm so happy to be capturing this conversation because I know it's just one of 100,000,000 more that we'll have in our future. And you just always, even when we were at Rose Colored Worlds show last weekend, and I was telling you about how I'm trying to character build Tomcat and like who I am, and like without even like missing a beat or like blinking or anything, you're like, well, you don't have to do that. You're already the character that you need to be. And then you just went on to talk about something else. Just like in the back of the show as they're fucking going, and I'm like,
But also, this is me. I'm at these shows just like thinking about shit. I'm like kind of watching, and I'm kind of just like, I got some thoughts.
so
And then you're
funny.
like, will you talk about a serious thing with me right now? I'm like, thank God. What do you want? Let's go right now.
Somebody give me a deck. Somebody give me a deck to
Yeah,
talk about.
yeah. No, this is called I Need a Therapist. That's what this is called. But it's fine.
Oh my god, I love you so much. Where can
Same.
if people want to see more of your work?
LittleEmptyBoxes.com.
Perfect.
LittleEmptyBoxes.com is our new film that's out right now. You can go to
Perfect.
GillianKeeves.tv if you like comedy shit and you want to see that. But our company is called Booklight. Booklight is our company. And JCB Matthew on Instagram. It doesn't matter. It's fine. You can
Follow him.
I don't care.
You're like, oh god.
I'm a producer. It's you can if you want to. You're gonna see almost no posts, but you're welcome to follow me. You're gonna get no. I'm in the background. I'm in the dark. I'm in the dark. If you come to the Arts District at Manuela, I'll be there. I promise
Hey,
you. I'm
no.
there way too much.
No, for sure. Same. I'm right next to you. Maybe that'll be. I've been wanting to do our second conversation. I've
Shout
already
out
been.
Manuela. Yeah,
Oh, shout out Manuela Torrance. Give a little shout out to
Terrence.
him.
Oh yeah, come on.
Terrence. Oh, I know, my bad. Oh,
And
all
Wolf,
right.
who I play chess with at the bar almost every
Oh,
time. I'm telling you, I live there.
so funny
They
how
have
much.
a tiny. I'm giving away secrets I should not give away right now. They have a tiny chessboard behind the bar, and I play chess at Soho House all the time. And so I
No.
love games. I could talk about games for an hour. I will not, but I love games. But I've always played chess, and Wolf is really good at chess. One of the bartenders, and he keeps them on many. So if it's dead there and like there's nobody there, him and I rip a
No.
game all the time. Yeah.
Wait, I fucking love that dude. I knew
And
chess.
he's so good too. It's so fun to play with him.
When
He
you
kicks
like
my ass.
started getting back into it, I was like, this is gonna unlock so many doors for you because
I
I do
love playing
feel like
chess. Yeah.
chess is that unsung like you want to get into a meeting with like a venture capitalist or some shit. You know what I
No,
mean?
no. Here, I'll be nerdier than this. And this is how we should go because I'm gonna start sharing too much information about myself. Terraforming Mars. That is the game. There is a board game called Terraforming Mars that is the greatest board. This is Nerdville 3000.
Got
But
it.
I love this game. I love strategy board games and I love shogi, Japanese chess, and chess. I love these games. These games
Oh,
are
that's
all so fun. They're so fun.
that's
And
the
they
most
and
important.
that's what I'm saying. I didn't go to. You don't need a fucking business. Don't go to fucking business school. You just need to read and learn how LLCs and business and S corps work. That's just you got. You can pay to do that, or you can literally buy the 5 books I've bought and just do it, and just you'll figure it out as you go. Okay, you could do
Totally.
that, but you need to play strategy board games. That is all of the thinking that you need. Limited resource management, being creative.
So
It's all that
good.
you need. Chess is all you need.
I'm gonna literally your first promo clip is gonna be that chess is all you need.
That's it. That's it.
All right.
All right.
That's it for us. Thank you for everybody listening, and I'll probably
Kat,
see
you're the
you
best.
this weekend. Or
Go
probably
Tomcat Radio.
Ayo! Okay, wait, I'm gonna end this and then you stay on because then I won't have questions. Okay, bye everybody! Thanks for listening to this episode of Tomcat Radio. Special thanks to Haas Music for our intro and outro. Hit him up for all of your music needs. If you like the podcast episode, make sure to share it with your homie or your favorite fellow creative. If you want to keep up to date with the latest episodes of Tomcat Radio, make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Until next time, Cool Cat.